You ever have a teacher or somebody who in your life made a difference with just an off-the-cuff comment? The song today, When You're Smiling, reminds me of when I was in elementary school and we had our yearbooks. And so we go around and get people to sign the yearbook. And one of my instructors wrote, "A smile is the key to the universe, keep smiling." I must have been in grade 7. A smile is the key to the universe, keep smiling. And I have never forgotten that. So thank you. Speaking of things that can change your life, have you ever had a light bulb moment that you know that if you implemented this in your life, it may be a very small change, but it could make a big difference? It may be something that you've heard here at a church or a spiritual center. It may be something that you've seen in a movie, or you've heard on a podcast, or heard on a TED Talk, or maybe you've read it in a book, or somebody just says something off the cuff, like I just mentioned to you. But something that you go, oh, that's an idea that I could use, and it could make a big difference. And you resolve to do that. And everything is great while things are great. And then life happens, and all of those good intentions get thrown out of the window as we revert back to our old pattern when we get just a little bit upset. Has anyone had that experience? Welcome to the human race. It's something that makes so much sense for us at times. And then at times, isn't it true that we revert back to our old patterns? That is where Unity's 5th principle comes in. Our 5th principle is that it's not enough to intellectually know stuff. You have to put it into practice. And it's not always that easy to do, because we are pretty much creatures of habit. And it takes work to build a new habit. Let's just review Unity's 5 principles quickly. The way I have done it, as you all know, Stuart, would you mind moving to the next slide for me, please? Thank you. Is using happy birthday. I should have asked you to stay at the piano to play happy birthday. Sure. Why not? Peter is so flexible. He's amazing.
How does that go again?
Yeah, let me teach you. Together, if we can. One universal power, a network of all ideas lead to experiences. Take time to be still. You'll live in peace. Maestro. Stay there, stay there, stay there, stay there. I'm going to have you do a second verse in a moment. Thank you. So here are our principles. That there is one power. Call it anything you want. There is only one power. That we are all part of that power. That there is a network of all of us. That we're all one interconnected whole. That we are powerful beings, that we have energy that can make a difference. And one of the ways that we can make a difference is by the words that we tell ourselves about the experiences we're having. So ideas lead to experiences. If it's hot, and we don't like it being hot, we'll say it's a horrible day. If it's hot and we love it being hot, we'll say it's a wonderful day. The idea we have about the day is what leads to our experience. And one of the ways that we then want to be deliberate about how we approach our experiences is to take time to be still. And when we're still, we can renew, we can reset, we can look back and review. And then we can repurpose, re-intend. So we have this opportunity by being still to look at things differently. And then the final, which is what we're talking about today, the final principle of unity is that you will live in peace, in joy, in prosperity, in kindness, in patience. But isn't it true that sometimes that doesn't work very well? So we're going to look at how we can make our principle work for us today. Before we do that, though, I just want to show you that this idea of knowing stuff is not enough, you have to live it. Oh, that was a rhyme. Knowing stuff is not enough. Okay, sorry. Oh, now you get to see this is the real me, actually. Knowing stuff is not enough. That principle is not limited to unity. In the book of Corinthians, though, in the Christian faith, we have these words. Again, Stuart, could you move to the next slide? If I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have faith so much that I can move mountains, but I do not have love, I am as sounding brass. In other words, it's not enough unless you live it. Faith without action, spirituality without compassion, religion without empathy is empty. And if I think back right now to all of the wars that we have seen in the name of religion, I find this to be a very powerful idea. That man has made stories up about religion that have caused us to do harm to man, to humankind. And that is not the message of the reasons for Christianity, for Islam, for Judaism, for any religion. Love is what matters. The Talmud teaches study is great, but action is greater. In Islam, the strong one is not the one who throws others down, but the one who controls himself when he is angry. In Buddhism, the Buddha taught, one may recite much scripture, but if he does not act accordingly, he's like a cowherd counting somebody else's cows. Hinduism, better than knowledge is meditation, but better than meditation is action in selfless service. See this universal wisdom that says faith is not enough. To profess things and speak them is not enough. We have to live it. Remember the song from My Fair Lady that Eliza Doolittle sings to Freddie, like to the love interest in her life. Or let's say he thinks he's in love with her, but she's not necessarily having anything to do with it. But the important part is the words that she says, which is, don't say the words, show me. That is the goal of what we do here today. And have you noticed that it's easier on a Sunday, harder on a Monday? Easy when you leave here filled with the love and the joy and the excitement of being with friends, with having new ideas that spark a possibility for your life. And again, everything looks great until Monday comes along and the traffic is horrible and the boss is mean and we revert back to the things that haven't served us well. That's when the real test begins. So that people can look at this person, us, and say, I want to be that in the midst of the chaos. How do we know what those things are? What are the things we aspire to? Well, in the book of Galatians, Paul talks about the fruits of the Spirit. And he lists 9 aspects of what it would look like to live a life which is characterized as being in that place that I was speaking about in our meditation today, of touching the light that is us and then living from that place, keeping the doors of our hearts open wide. They are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Personally, I think it should be switched. I think self-control should be at the top of the list, because it is the place where we sometimes fall off from the goal of what we're trying to do. If we can learn how to be in control of who we are, even in not just the good times, but also the challenging times, then it's easier to be patient, kind, joy-filled, generous, and so on. So I would have a little chat with St. Paul about that if I had a chance to speak with him. What do we do? What can we do when we miss the mark? Well, that's where the second verse of my little song comes into play. Because just as the first verse was, these are the steps, they are, or the principles, they are one power, we're all part of that power, we have the power to influence how we view what life throws at us, and taking time to be intentional about that is important. When we do that, we will have a peaceful life. Well, what's true is if you start at, let's take a look at my life, start at the bottom there, at number 5, and take a look at our life. And if peace isn't there, love isn't there, joy isn't there, patience isn't there, kindness, generosity, and self-control, then what can we do? We go up the ladder a little. We take time to be still. And it is in that time of stillness that we open ourselves up to insight about what might be going on. There's a level of self-awareness that comes. Recognizing things aren't going the way I want. This is not who This is not what I want people to be talking about at my funeral when I'm 100 and something. I want them to be talking about my love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, and self-control. I've fallen off. I've missed the mark, which is the Greek translation, or the Greek meaning behind the word sin. So when people say you've sinned, you can actually go, yeah, sure, because I've missed the mark. So when we fall off from the mark that we have aimed for ourselves, and we notice it, the first thing we want to do is take time to be still. The next thing we want to do is question our thinking. Instead of doing what we are so often trained to do, which is to start a war, to be aggressive, to face someone in a way that is at times quite angry and impatient, or face a situation self-righteously. Take time to be still and then question our thinking. And here are some questions that you might consider that would add more peace. The first is HALT, H-A-L-T. In this situation, as I'm standing here now facing whatever it is, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I feeling lonely or isolated or overlooked? Am I tired? Because if I'm any one of those things, I'm likely not going to perform as well as if those needs, those human needs, have been satisfied. And we see a baby here who is almost, she's over a year, right? 18 months or so. And as a parent, Hunter knows that if Lauren is cranky, chances are she's hungry, she's not getting her way, she's not feeling the love of mom or dad, or she's needing a nap. Well, whether you're 18 months or 18 years or 80 years, our needs don't change that much. So the first question that we want to ask ourselves is, am I any of those things? And if that's true, then we can take care of those things. Come back restored. The other thing we can do is have the courage to ask, am I making this story up? We did this exercise a few weeks ago where we created a scenario. The person sent an email and you don't get a response. And then we pretended that we could make stories up about all the different reasons that we might get upset. And the reasons range from she doesn't like me to they got the wrong email address, they haven't opened up their computer, blah, blah, blah. And we realized that we make all of these things up. So wherever there's a comma, whatever comes after the comma can lead to either heaven or hell. The only part that was true was I did not see a return email. So can we make up a story? We're making it up anyway. Make up a story that feels a little lighter. Remember, the suffering comes after the comma. And then the third question you can ask yourself is, have I ever behaved this way? I think of this as the turnaround, and it's the most difficult one, the one that I physically and emotionally have the most resistance to. Because I want to be exempt from the judgments of others when I'm acting kind of mean or a little snippy or a little like I'm too busy to pay attention to you. Whatever it might be, I know that I have good reasons for ignoring you, for being snippy, because I'm hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or I've got lots to do. And so somehow it's okay for me to do that. But if you do that, it ain't. So ask yourself, have you ever also been behaving the way that you are now judging the other person? And if the answer is yes, or rather, let's be honest, when the answer is yes, then maybe we could open our hearts a little wider and recognize that that's what's going on. We can add an element of empathy. Then finally, we want to aim for progress, not for perfection. Progress, not for perfection. Because what sometimes happens when we're aiming for perfection and we don't achieve it, we give up and say, I'm never going to do it. I might as well not even try. But I'm going to guess that Peter did not become an accomplished pianist by touching the piano one day and hitting a wrong note or two and saying, that's it, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. Chances are he hit a wrong note or two, or 2,000, or 200,000. And over time, practice made the progress. So our goal is to keep on keeping on. It is to form new patterns, to forgive ourselves when we sin, when we miss the mark. And if you think that you're alone in this, I'm going to read you one of my favorite passages from Romans, from the book of Romans. And the reason I like it is because it's so cryptic. And if you hear sin, the word sin, just remember that it's the idea of missing the mark, of not achieving what your goal was. From Romans 7, for I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Now, if I do what I do not want, I agree with the law, that it is good. So now it is no longer I who do it, but the sin who dwells within me. For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is in my flesh. For I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing. I know that. If I do what I do not want, it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells within me. Interesting, isn't it? I see in my members, so now language is important here. Members, just think of parts of yourself. I see in my members another law waging war against the law of my mind and making me captive to the law of sin that dwells within me. All of that, just a fancy word to say that sometimes what we intend, what we resolve, will not happen. Because we need to repattern ourselves. But when I read that, I just was like, oh, that is neat. And I won't read it again because it's way too much. Step by step, the path is made. Jesus spoke about the idea of forgiving not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Lauren. Hi, Angel. In other words, keep trying. Fall down. Get up. And when you miss the mark, do it again and again. So let us sing this second verse because it is your action item. And again, to the tune of Happy Birthday, Maestro. Oh. Can you put that one back up, please, Stuart? Back one more. There you go. If peace isn't there, take time to be still and question your thinking. What other idea could add more peace? Nicely done. Thank you. The reason I put this into a song, folks, is because I need things to be simple that I can hear. And I promise you that this will help you as it has helped me. Take that idea of that meditation that we did today, the idea of crossing over to touch your light. That's taking the time to be still. And the more that you can take time to be still, to question, to have this mindful reset, the more peaceful you'll be able to be because you can choose differently. Next time you have a light bulb moment, I encourage you to embrace it. Put it into practice. Don't just think it's a cool idea. When peace isn't there, notice it. When love isn't there, notice it. And then take time to be still. And in the words of the song that we'll hear at the very, very end of the service, nothing's impossible I have found, but when my chin is on the ground, I pick myself up, dust myself off, and start all over again. I bless you.